Because Kamehameha pulled up and said,
I said I wanted one kingdom.
what? What's up guys, it's Kat. You ready to learn? Let's get into it. You ever have beef with somebody? Beef is so stupid. Beef to me is like the dumbest thing in the world. Beef only needs to be a kind of meat that you eat. I'm not a rapper. And while I feel like beef is so immature, beef has been the reason behind a lot of things going down one way as opposed to a motherfucking another. And today we're gonna talk about that shit. Historical beefs. What? I just feel like if I had a corset, first of all, if I had a corset on, I'm not gonna waste my breath that I already don't have arguing with somebody. I'm sorry. I'm just
not.
But people have egos, people have birthrights, and folks have things that they want and things they have to do. So, let's talk about that shit. Starting off first and foremost, something real easy, something real nice, something real familiar. Of course, we're in England. Elizabeth I and Mary, Queen of Scots. Let me just say this first. These two are cousins. Like, proper cousins. Both descendants from the first Tudor king, Henry VII, but wait. In the Tudors, we only see Henry as having one sister, Margaret, when in actuality, he had two sisters, Mary and Margaret. The thing that they did was, they added the character of Mary into the show, because Mary did end up marrying Charles Brandon, that much is very, very true, but they put Margaret's name on top of it, so now my brain is just like, burnt egg whites. But here's how this went. Margaret was sent to go marry the King of Scotland, James IV. When she left to go marry him, they had a son, James V. James V got married and he had a daughter with his wife named Mary, Queen of Scots. But the craziest part is he died 6 days after Mary was born. Henceforth, therefore, more so, Mary was crowned Queen of Scotland at 6 days old and then sent to France. There she lived in France for the better part of her life and was sent to marry Francis II, who was next in line on the French throne. They did get married and she was Queen of Scotland and Queen of France. However, every time Francis said the bells got ready. So when he eventually had his last little coughing fit and just keeled over, she had to return back to Scotland. But this was the issue. She'd spent so much time as a Catholic, being raised as Catholic, growing up in Catholic France, that when she came back to Scotland, who was there? The Protestant Reformation. So she had to figure out how to work her way around this going on in her kingdom. And then she decided to marry Lord Darnley Henry Stuart. Now, this is the man in which she got pregnant by and did give birth to James VI and first of England and Scotland. Cool? Right. But he was murdered in 1567. While staying in the church and residence of Kirkfield, it was blown up. Just everywhere. He was everywhere. His body, was found in the garden. Charred. And you know it's kind of funny though, because this is the manner in which this man's father died, the gunpowder plot of 1604 against James VI and first of England by Guy Fawkes and his homeboys really fucked him up. Because he was just like,
ain't no way y'all trying to kill me the same way y'all killed my daddy.
Ooh. Let's go back in time though. 1567, right? This is all going on. Everyone is like, oh my god, who killed Lord Darnley? This is insane. Mind you. We still don't know. But it was highly suspected, James Hepburn, the 4th Earl of Bothwell, was the man responsible. And so everybody was telling Mary like, yo, you need to be weary of this man because this man legitimately, we all think, killed your husband. Mary sat here, listened to all their concerns, listened to all what they had to say and said, damn, but look at him.
Huh?
And then she married that man. Months later. Not years. Moons. And surprise, surprise, water is wet, you can't see oxygen outside. They all thought that she had something to do with it. Not gonna lie, I would too. How are you gonna sit here and marry the man that we all told you all at once, maybe even in fact, we think killed your previous husband? Now, whether or not she married that man of her own volition or was coerced because of the scandal, we don't know. All we know is it happened. And because of this, a rebellion broke out. And because the rebellion broke out, she had to abdicate. Abdicating sucks. All this conflict and all this turmoil, I guess she was not thinking about the fact that, girl, you are Catholic. England wants to be Catholic again. Lizzie is in England putting belt to ass to make folks stop playing with her. And you are a perfect rival claimant. People want her gone and you on that throne. So why would you go to England and ask that woman for help and protection? Elizabeth imprisoned her for 19 years. 19 years, right? And within this time, she was basically on house arrest. Not like she was kept in that little cell like Margaret Poe now. And more or less, it was just a matter of, okay, yeah, y'all want me to be off the throne and put somebody else. Well, the somebody else you want on the throne I have in my back pocket. So how is that gonna work? And maybe she could have just, you know, died in the cells. But the issue then became when the Babington plot became uncovered. It was discovered that Mary had been having intense active correspondence with nobles in England and Scotland, devising a plan to kill Elizabeth I and instill her as queen.
Stupid.
So as soon as Lizzie found all this out, she was like, I gave you the mercy of just keeping you here. You forced my hand. Now you have to die. And in 1587, Mary got her head taken off. But recall what I said earlier, right? Mary had a son, James VI. Elizabeth had no children, and obviously she's smart enough woman to know, okay, gotta figure out who's up next. Because when I die, I die. That's it. There are no more tutors, thank God. So who's next? Not gonna lie, if it wasn't for the treason of talking about killing a monarch, I would definitely understand why Lizzie was like, can you just shut the hell up and sit down? Because she was dealing with this. Then she also had her sister's ex-husband, right? Funky ass Philip. Time out, I'm gonna bring Catholicism back and you're gonna go to jail. Who are you talking to, bro? You can't sit here and say, I have the greatest naval force in the world. It's called the Spanish Armada and we're coming to collect you. And then drop your anchors. Stupid. You thought because you was big you could do it? Well, listen. Listen. As my amazing, intelligent, insanely smart mentor, Coach Finstock once said, the bigger they are, the bigger they are. Let's go to the Ottoman Empire real quick. It's fun out here. Suleiman the Magnificent and his son Mustafa. Now, I'm going to put Mustafa's full name because there is something before it, but I don't know exactly how to say it. Cesare, but look at that thing under the S. What does that sound like? So we're going to call him Mustafa for the rest of the video, right? Cool. Mustafa was Suleiman's eldest surviving son. This is the thing about the Ottoman Empire though. It's not like Western empires and Western cultures where you have a wife, maybe you have a mistress, maybe you even have a second wife, who knows, right? They didn't really do that shit. They had concubines. Mustafa's mother was a longtime favorite concubine of Suleiman Mahidevran, right? Now she's been in the game for a long time. Been around the block, seen girls come and go. It is what it is. But look. Hurrem pulled up and said, yeah, that man's mine. And he actually ended up marrying her. Meaning, any child he had, whether or not Hurrem was here or not, forgot the way. So it was real tense up in that palace. Couple that with the fact, with Ottoman succession, there was no fixed rule or tradition that said the eldest son has to succeed the father. Any prince that was alive and could fight and could do what he had to do had a potential claim to that throne. So what ended up happening was, when a sultan died, every single son he ever had was putting belt to ass to Constantinople to seize that power. And whoever seized it first often just killed all the other men. That's your brother, no? So like I said before, Mustafa was his eldest surviving son, but not only that, very experienced military commander. People loved him, soldiers loved him, the nobles loved him, and it was very clear to everyone that had eyes and a brain that when Suleiman died, here comes Mustafa taking the throne, right? No. Because who was in the way? Not another prince, no, Hurrem and her gowns. When she and Suleiman got married, she had multiple sons, not just one like Mahidevran, multiple. And in her mind, she's like, I'm his wife. Henceforth, therefore, more so, my sons have the bigger claim because what? And so it was a battle within the court to see, all right, who is Suleiman gonna pick? His eldest son that he's seen prove his worth and valor in the field, or his son with his wife? It was like, oh, this is what we have to also recognize about the time. Hurrem? Wop. She had so much influence over Suleiman. It was like, who is this woman? So in my opinion, because it's not really clear for real why and who, I think that Hurrem put that punani on him and said, you know you want one of our sons to be succeeding you. Not Mustafa. Our sons. I'm your wife, remember? So, In 1553, they were on a Persian campaign doing shit, right? Suleiman summoned his son Mustafa, and Mustafa was like, cool, I'm gonna go see my dad. Love it here. The nanosecond that man put one beard hair in that tent, he was strangled. Well, not only strangled with a bowstring of like a bow. I don't even know how that would work, because there's hold on, there's the bow, then there's everything, the other part of the mechanism. So it must have been real skinny. They must have made a real skinny bow and said, shoot. Either way, that was the end of that. This is what gets me so bad. Men will always be men. Even though that would not have been done on nobody's orders besides his. Why did this man come back and blame the court for what happened? The only thing you had to do was say who was going to be the heir and who wasn't. Make it clear, there's no turmoil. Majority of the time. China! I want to go to China so bad. However, my god. Wu Zetian, my queen. Wu Zetian's beef is kind of crazy, because the first two I talked about, which is between two people, she was beefing with the whole court and gave no fucks. In 638 CE, Wu Zetian pulled up to the court as a concubine. That was how she arrived, right? Being a concubine under him, you know, she was chilling for the most part. Comparatively. Not for real though. For real, she was 14 years old when she got there. That old ass man was like, okay. And she grew closer to his son because he was just like,
damn, I love the way you tame that wild horse. What you smell like?
Girl, what the fuck is you talking? National Guard, please come help. But then that man died and then his son took over. And it was believed that the emperor would want new concubines, because why the fuck would you want to fucking on somebody your daddy was fucking on? Oh! So it was expected that after his death she would go and live in a convent. However, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. But like, oh my god. So when she pulled up, she was welcomed back in as a concubine for Emperor Gaozong, that man's son. And who knows, maybe that imperial wop was imperial whopping. I do not know. Maybe he had mommy issues. I do not know. But as his health declined, the emperor's health declined, and in 1690, do that math, 62 years after she got there, because she got there when she was 14, she woke up and just said, yeah, I'm the emperor now. Long live the Zhou dynasty. You just took that man's whole birth cut off the Tang dynasty right there in the middle. What was the religion here at this time? Confucianism. What's up, Confucius? And in Confucianist political philosophy, men. So with her declaring herself as emperor, not empress, first of all, a lot of officials felt like the moral and natural order of the world was just thrown up in the air and clapped. Like, senior ministers, aristocratic families, even clan members were like, what is going on over here? Who is this woman? But how did she stay in power as the emperor of China for 15 years on her own? Initially, you know, it was like, you know, I'm the emperor, but like, you know, here's my husband, here's my sons and shit, but like, I'm ruling shit for real. Get it together. As her power grew in influence from the king, she did end up having a little host of like very, very loyal officials who helped push her agenda whenever she needed to. So when there was pushback from other noble families, it was like, well, wait a second. I agree with her. So shut up. She also used secret police to spy on her opponent to see, you know, you trying to plot, but how you gonna plot? My homeboy in the corner of your room, writing everything down that you saying, bringing it back to me. What you gonna do about that, huh? Nothing. And all of her rivals that tried to confront her and step to her about it, she got rid of them in 3 ways. Either exile from China, straight dismissal, or just plain execution. Get out of my face. But you know, you already know how it is. When a woman is in power and does the exact same thing a man does, suddenly, God, sound the alarm. So there were some accusations against her that historians do say is like, okay, this may or may not be propaganda because she was a woman. And that's the only reason why it's here. They was saying that she had a daughter, right? And she murdered her infant daughter herself and then blamed a rival to get them out the way. First of all, okay, that's quite the claim. Take a break. Take a 5-minute break. Take a break. Let's go down. Let's get on the train and go down to South Asia, yeah? Mughal Empire, right? Mughal Empire covered what is now presently known as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. Lots of land, okay, honey? Now, you know how I am in pronunciation. I try my absolute best, and if I say it wrong, please correct me. I'm not gonna get salty. In 1657, the Mughal Empire was ruled by this man named Emperor Shah Jahan, right? Unfortunately, though, Uncle Shah got real sick, right? Real sick. And everybody was looking around being like, well, shit, who's next? He had 2 sons. Aurangzeb and Dara Shikoh. I'm gonna say Shikoh. Dara was the eldest son, and henceforth, therefore, more so, Uncle Shah's favorite, right? Always at court, doing his thing, everyone knew who he was and where he stood. Aurangzeb was the second son, and was a very experienced commander, so you have the favorite, and then you have the military. Right. Now, like I said, the Mughal Empire spanned across a lot of land. With that being said, there was a lot of different people within this empire, much like the Roman Empire, much like the Ottoman Empire, much like the Mongolian Empire. Dar wanted more connection inside the empire, so he said, listen, they're Islam, we're Hindu. I think it'd be great if we translated our Hindu text into Persian so they can read it and know what's going on too. Aurangzeb, however, wanted a more orthodox interpretation of Sunni Islam, which was not what his brother wanted and not what he was about to do. With that being said, Aurangzeb also thought that he was more suited to rule simply because of that fact. They went toe-to-toe a bunch of times, fought each other multiple times, right? But it was that Battle of Samulgar that really... This is over. Aurangzeb and his army actually ended up defeating Dar, and Dar ended up fleeing. Damn. Although he didn't get far though, because Aurangzeb and his boys were like, where are you going? Thank you. When they captured him, they paraded him all throughout Delhi and then had him executed. Aurangzeb then went back home, told Uncle Shah, locked up Uncle Shah, and let Uncle Shah die in chains. What damn. While it was a very controversial rise to power, he did the damn thing though. Even though under his rule the Mughal Empire did reach its highest amount of land that it had power over, the way that he went about doing things on the inside did create a bunch of internal conflict that in the end, in my opinion, I think this is the first stone, or one of the first stones, into the fall of imperial authority and power within the Mughal Empire. That's just my opinion. It's not confirmed. This is just cat's noodle. Working. Let's go to Hawaii. Last time I was in Hawaii, I was 4 years old, 4 or 3. I think it was 3 actually. I was 3 years old and I went to go see the ocean. I don't know who I was feeling like. Maybe baby Moana. I really don't know. But that ocean sure indeed slipped me by my feet. I almost was lost at sea at 3. Luckily I'm not though, so I'm here. Let's go back to 1795. Pre-American BS. I love Hawaiian names. Like actually, I love them so much. I mean, a lot of them start with a K. How can I not? So, in the late 18th century, all those Hawaiian islands were not one big kingdom. They were actually multiple different tribes ruled by multiple different chiefs, right? Enter my boy Kamehameha, right? Kamehameha was out here like, I think we should all just be one kingdom, one people. Yeah. And he wanted Hawaii to be a singular kingdom. Reasonable thought, reasonable request, but Kalani Kapule, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, he was just like, fuck you talking about? Back up. Over here on Oahu? Watch out. So Kalani Kapule and Kamehameha were like, immediately. In the spring of 1795 was when they actually had their final battle that really solidified all of this. It was like the last one, we're done. The Battle of Nu'uanu, am I saying that right? There's an apostrophe in the middle of it. I'm using my degree to the best extent that I can. English degree is working overtime, okay? I should have done like a linguistics minor or something. That would have been real cool. Because I know what them lines over the letters mean in like Latin and shit. What the fuck that mean in Hawaiian? Is Hawaiian the proper term for their language? Probably not. Let me look this up. Olelo Hawaii? I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be very, very ignorant of me, but of course I will say this. I'm very upfront. When I first started learning about Hawaiian history and the wars and shit, it didn't even cross my mind that they'd be fighting with guns at any point. I don't know why. I'm not gonna lie. Kalani Kapule? I don't think he did either. Because Kamehameha pulled up and said,
I said I wanted one kingdom.
What? He had been trading with Western territories and gotten a large supply of firearms for this battle. Lit him up. Sprayed the room. A lot of Kalani Kapule's warriors were like, fuck this, and ended up running. However, we're in Hawaii. You think there's flat land? There probably is. Just a lot more now than it was then. But they were driven all the way to the Nu'uanu Pali Cliffs. Yeah. Do you think Kamehameha's men stop pushing forward? Stop marching forward?
Keep going.
Mind you, this is probably your cousin. After Kalani Kapule was captured and Kamehameha was like, fuck you, I'm the king now. Like I said, Oahu is coming with me. We're gonna be one big kingdom. Kingdom of Hawaii. Hawaii? Is it Hawaii? It's not Hawaii. I'm just being an American now. The Kingdom of Hawaii, that was crazy, came to fruition and formed. And he was henceforth known as Kamehameha first. Like, understand, this was not just family gossip. People's lives were at stake. People's birthrights were at stake. Like, feuds like this, it determines what the world looks like today. Had Mary gotten what she wanted, Lizzie was killed, she became queen, what the fuck would the world look like, huh? If Suleiman had never killed his son, what would the Ottoman Empire look like under Mustafa? Would it have, you know, continued on longer? Would it have been shorter? We don't know. What if Wu Zetian never just threw it back for a real one? In a convent? Oh, nah. Not with that cunning. What if Dara had one? Just like the Ottoman Empire, would it have reigned longer? Would it have reigned shorter? What would Islam look like today? What would Hindu look like today? It's these things, bro. Would Hawaii even be Hawaii? Because trading with them Western folks, once again, my opinion not confirmed, I feel like really did pave the way for Hawaii to be snatched up by the US. And the kingdom eradicated. It really makes you want to sit back and wonder, like, okay, which feud? Pull out a big old scroll. Which one had the biggest impact on history? My opinion, Cat's opinion, Caesar. That shit. I didn't talk about it because it's so, I don't even know, not cheesy, but like expected. Caesar was doing the thing. He was getting too much notoriety. The Senate ain't like it. He was doing too much stuff. Then he said, I'll be a dictator. Not gonna lie, that was stupid. Then he got Swiss cheesed. If he didn't get Swiss cheesed, would the Republic have stayed a republic? Would the empire have been an empire? Would we have gotten Augustus? Would we have August? Would I be born in August? Would we have Livia Drusilla? Would we have Domina? MGM. Give me another season. I'm tired. You're playing with me right now. But alas, we don't know. And I just checked. The Dark Order's on back order. So now we're all really fucked, honestly. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.